Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? We are back on a Friday, and I got the one and only Grifka here. Grifka, what up, buddy?
Oh, man, just living the dream,
Absolutely, man. Friday, talking Lions for the people. What are you thinking, Grifka? What's going on this week?
Just a couple things I noticed. First of all, the Lions, I saw that the Lions re-signed Don Muhlbach. I think it's going to be 16th year with the team. You have any thoughts on that?
Death, taxes, and Don Muhlbach, baby. I loved it. I think it was kind of weird that Bobby Quinn came in and tried to replace him. I feel like, maybe he was trying to set a statement, or maybe Don Muhlbach was getting too comfortable. I mean, he can probably only do it for another couple years at most, but yeah, just glad to have him back in the fold, and he's solid and consistent, no doubt about it. Love that guy.
I mean, so they re-signed Muhlbach. I know you really like Okwara. Are you hoping they bring him back as well? I mean, he had a good year for him, I thought. Somebody you'd like to see back in the fold?
Yeah, man. I thought he played much better than we didn't know much about him. I remember his name from mock drafts, and I did like him because of his size, and he was coming from a big school at Notre Dame. But I think when he came here and replaced Zettel, we got a lot more athleticism. He had a good production. He's young. He was cheap this year, so if we can get him on a good deal, I'd love to have him back.
Well, that's cool. I just want a couple of things. I know when we did our mock draft, a guy that was brought up at one point was Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive lineman out of South Carolina. He was thought of pretty high. I saw earlier this week that he had a torn ACL. Now, I believe the guy falls out of the first round. He was kind of, I heard he was first round, maybe early second round. With this torn ACL, do you think the Lions chance drafting him? And if so, what round would you take him in?
Well, first of all, Grifka, let's get it right. I was high on him, and I took him in our mock draft. He wasn't one of the 6 names that you knew for our mock draft episode, so you couldn't get over Montez Sweat. You didn't even really know who this guy was, I don't think. Man, when I see pictures of this guy, he looks like a freaking monster, like an absolute straight-up beast. But, I mean, I had him in the middle of the round. There's a guy I should have had his name here. I might get it wrong, but I think his a little tagline or his name on Twitter is Forrester, and I think he does some Lions reporting and some different things. And me and him went back and forth a little bit, where he was saying this is the guy the Lions should look at in the second round, or maybe the third now, because he's going to drop due to the injury. And I knew where he was going, but for me, I just said the Lions need good players and they need healthy players. And no matter how Jeffrey Simmons, how good he is and how far he drops, the Lions can't afford right now to take a guy that you might have to wait a whole calendar year on. So I said, I'd wait on him. I mean, maybe if he's there in our late third-round pick that we got from the Eagles, maybe I'd think about it just based on value at that point. But, I mean, it's a tough break for the kid, but he is going to drop quite a bit in the draft. And I think, it's not a real position the Lions have a huge need at, and it's also you don't want to take an injured guy unless you're a team like Grifka's favorite, the Patriots, or the Steelers, or some of these teams that are already well established. You can take a risk on an injured player and wait for him, and we just can't do that right now.
Get the bell out, because I agree with you on that. And that's one of those things where the Lions, I think they need too many people to be able to sit on a guy who might be out, half the year with a knee problem, especially in the position he plays. Those knee problems can kind of linger with the position he plays, especially banging on bodies, caught in pits, in mosh pits and stuff like that down there. those things can flare up again and again for those guys on the D-line like that. So I'm with you on your take right there.
Grifka, real quick, I want to throw this in. So, like, as I've been perusing the Twitter machine, people either loved our mock draft or they're loving my knowledge, because I'm seeing lots of Lions fans talking about Ed Oliver to the Detroit Lions at number 8 and wondering what that absolute monster could do with Matt Pat moving them all around and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of that. And I put out a few draft sims, and now as I keep seeing people projecting names, it's just a coincidence, right, that a lot of those names that I'm putting out there are coming up on other lists as well. So I think we're not only helping the people, but I think we got some smart Lions fans out there that know their draft knowledge and are picking some good names. So just want to throw that out there. Ed Oliver, baby, number 8.
I got one other quick question here for you before we get into the coverage of this Vikings game. Read earlier this week a take by a local beat writer who thought if given the opportunity, it would be a great draft if the Lions were able to take Kyler Murray out of Oklahoma. What's your thought process on that?
All right. First of all, before I answer, who's this beat writer, Grifka?
Oh, you know who he is, man. It's not Dave Burkett. It's his good buddy. He's the new evil Drew, who's been around for a few years. It's Carlos Monarez, however you pronounce his last name.
Brutal, man. Man, there's been so much talk about this. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, it doesn't make sense contract-wise. It doesn't make sense from a philosophy standpoint, really. The guy is small. I think, and I'm put this on paper, I think I did in the mock draft show, even though he's small, even though he's short, I think he fits in the NFL game, but he doesn't fit the Detroit Lions, man. He just doesn't. This guy could come and be good, but by the time you take him, you boot Matt Stafford out, you pay all this dead money, you do all this stuff. I can't see it working out for the Lions, but I can see a team swooping in, getting him, making him the franchise guy, letting him run around and run a crazy offense and be good. But that's just not where our team is heading. So absolutely not. Carlos Monarez, get the hell out of here with some of these articles, man. Just trying to drum up clicks, man. We don't have time for that. Let's talk real football. And Kyler Murray at number 8, absolutely not. Now, if they were to do it, which they won't, but if they were, Grifka, I'm going to do the same thing I always do, which is I'm not going to like it, but I'm going to try to get on board at that point because he'd be our quarterback. But, I mean, I think it's a non-issue, but no Kyler Murray to the Detroit Lions. No, thank you.
So you can get the bell out. I'm right with you. I personally don't think he's going to be any good. I hear people I read things like, he's short. He's about as tall as Drew Brees. Okay, Drew Brees is a pure pocket passer. He's always been a pocket passer. Yeah, he's got a little bit of mobility, but I mean, Kyler Murray's the guy. If the first route's not there, he's taking off and running. I hate guys like that because in the pros, those guys just get tracked down relatively quickly. And then people are like, oh, he could be the next Baker Mayfield. With me, Baker Mayfield's the jury's still out. Get a little more tape on this guy and let's see where he goes. I mean, there's plenty of guys who can scramble the first year that have good years. Look at Robert Griffin III, never did anything after that. I feel Baker Mayfield might be in that same category right there. If you can gun the ball at Oklahoma in a league that doesn't play any defense, like I said, get some tape on the guy and then let's see what he could do. But I don't think Kyler Murray's going to be that great of a pro. So that's my take on it. Before we get into this Vikings game, you have anything else, or do we just want to do a quick thing here from our sponsor?
I think I'm good on the news notes. I'm definitely getting that free agent itch. I'm definitely, digging into some of these draft prospects on YouTube and whatnot, trying to figure some of these guys out that, I haven't seen. But, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward for this Vikings game. But before we do that, let's get a quick word from one of our great sponsors.
And, hey, Derek, we're back. Let's here to talk about the Minnesota Vikings game. Once again, we just came off a tough loss where Lions didn't look too good against the Seattle Seahawks. Seemed like the Seattle Seahawks were a tougher team. It's also a hard week for the Lions coming through. This is where the week where they traded away Golden Tate. And we were all kind of wondering how the offense will respond. I know you had mentioned other wide receivers would need to step up. Kenny Boy, maybe Marvin Jones would have to take a little more, maybe use Kerryon Johnson a little more in the pass routes as well. But let's hop into this game here. Once again, jotted down a few things, and we'll chat about them along the way. It was one of those things where the Lions won the kickoff, and they deferred to the second half. So once again, Lions kick off, and something happened. I mean, they were playing indoors on turf, and it was Sam Martin slips and slips and doesn't have a very good kickoff. The Vikings start with the ball at was it like the 38-yard line. It was theirs, but it was still good field position. And at that point, they started one of their methodical drives. Latavius Murray had a couple nice runs, and then it seemed like at one point was that they were on Vikings were on the Lions side of the 50, and the Lions bowed their back, but it was at kind of like that no man's land. It was a 4th and 3, and the play right before that, Kirk Cousins hit Beebe. It's Don Beebe's son. Sorry, I can't remember his first name right off the top of my head, but it was Beebe, and it got it down to a 4th and 3. And on a 4th and 3, they ran like hit Beebe right off the line on one of those flat routes. Beebe was too quick for Tabor, and they got the first down, kept the drive going. It was, just a simple pass play. I thought Tease Tabor, he was always a step behind, but he didn't jam him at the line or anything. He was still playing off him. So he got a free release on a 4th and 3, which I never think is a wise thing to do. On plays like that, I always think you got to get a jam on there. Because generally 4th and 3, 4th and shorts, they're not going to throw the ball downfield because it's a low risk play. So 4th and 3, you're generally looking at something short. So to give a guy a free release and then just not pressure him really didn't help. That's the way Tabor played. Did you find that play as frustrating as I did?
Well, Grifka, first of all, I was waiting for you to finally kick it back to me. Let me revert back to the beginning of the game and Sam Martin falling right on his backside, kicking the ball off. Grifka, this may be a somewhat hot take, but I'm done with Sam Martin. This guy just seems like a goof. Like, remember he got hurt doing something at his house. He seems to always choke in the big situations. You're falling down on a kickoff. I mean, I'm done with this guy. Let's get a new punter, somebody that's a football player that, oh, by the way, he punts. And I don't know. He's overpaid. I'm ready to cut him. You went into this 4th and 3 play. I think one thing you did miss, if you go back and look, unfortunately, I know you don't want to admit it, but I think it was either this play or at least 2 other times during the game, little BB boy actually smoked your guy, Darius Slay, to move the sticks. And I think it was Slay on this play to move the chains early on a little stick route, like you say, gave him a little room, kind of, made the catch, turned up field, and then Slay was able to get him out of bounds. I want to say I'm pretty sure on that, but we'd have to go back and double check. But yeah, man, I mean, anytime the other team takes a 4th down and 3 and just shows you no respect and goes for it, it's tough. And if they pick on one of your top corners, it's tough. And if they beat you with a guy named BB, who's a 5'0", 100 and nothing little scat receiver that had never played until this week, yeah, it's rough all the way around.
So yeah, but that was one of those things. Is just Lions could have made a statement right there, and they didn't. Kept the drive going. A couple plays later, actually, Kirk Cousins, which once again, I don't think he's that great. He made a nice pass to Murray out of the backfield. Murray takes it down to the 10-yard line. It's 1st and goal. A couple plays later, Murray gets the handoff. Actually, A'Shawn got great penetration, and Murray just made a football play, and he was able to spin out of the tackle. That was one of those things where A'Shawn did everything right, except he wasn't able to bring him down because, you have to hand it to Latavius Murray there. He made a good spin move and got out of it. But as he did that, as he started to run forward, was really close, and there was a fumble, but he fumbled it into the end zone, and the Vikings recovered it, and they go up 7-0. And that was one of those plays like where when you see it happen, you see the ball land on the ground, you're just hoping one of your guys just dive on it. They see it, and it's like, oh yeah, great. It's sheer luck is what it is, but the ball seemed to be laying there a lifetime and nobody saw it. And then all of a sudden, like 2 Vikings guys jump on it and they go up 7-0. That was kind of a hair puller out right there. The Vikings just first drive just marched down the field, made a couple nice plays. Seems like the Lions, had to stop, with A'Shawn. He missed the tackle. But Murray fumbles the ball and the Lions aren't able to jump on it. Everything's just falling the Vikings' way on that drive. Once again, were you as frustrated as I was by that drive?
Yeah, I just wrote down, right down the field, easy opening touchdown. Yeah, on the surface you can say, Ashawn made a play, didn't bring him down, and then they fumbled the ball and we couldn't get it. But really, I mean, give credit to Latavius Murray like you did, but also I think they ruled after the fact that he was already over the goal line. So always giving up a touchdown early is disconcerting, and yeah, it looked way too easy here on this first drive, so it was tough to watch.
Yeah. So, I mean, once again, it's early in the game. I mean, it's still like almost 10 minutes left in the first quarter. Lions are down 7-0 already. They get the ball. And for people wondering how they would look without Golden Tate, that offense just looked out of sync. I mean, on that first drive, they didn't look good at all. It was pretty quick, and they had to punt the ball right back. And like, oh, great, if the Lions only had the ball a minute or two, had to give it back, and thinking maybe Minnesota would drive down again, but Lions made some quick adjustments actually, and the defense actually pulled a 3-and-out, which I was really happy about that. I'm like, cool, okay, they got their feet underneath them. They took a punch, from Minnesota. It seems like the defense, has got back into this, and we got to do is maybe, Lions may be able to find some footing and go from there. So they get the ball back. They actually get some pretty decent field position. And then first play is that Galladay, on end around. It's one of those plays. I wish they'd kind of run it a little more. It seems like they would run it, with Agnew when he was healthy. Later in the year, they tried it with Powell. But Kenny, maybe one of those guys, they could run that with him. He's got the speed. He's not a blazer, but he's not. He's got better than average speed. So running the end around with him, the Lions blocked it pretty well. Picked up 8 yards. And it was actually one of those things where, I know it was 2nd and 2, but it almost looked like just like a long one, a little over a yard, to get to the first down. What was your take? Did you really like that Kenny Galladay end around play? Did you think it could be something they could use in the future?
Not really. I mean, I really don't like Kenny Galladay in the run game. I think he's a big-bodied, explosive receiver. I'd like to use a lot more in the red zone. I'd like to be able to move chains and make big plays up over the top with the guy. I think we have and will have smaller, shiftier guys that, you can run some of those gadget runs, but I'm not a big fan of Kenny G doing that actually. And before you get back to it, Grifka, I think you're like skipping by the lead. I know you'll probably get to it, but I just have here in big bold print that from the get-go in this football game, our offensive line is just getting absolutely owned again in Minnesota. Like, is this just something we go to Minnesota, we can't block anyone? Because there's guys coming free. Matt Stafford can't move at all. When he does move, he's tripping over himself and getting sacked. I mean, it was an embarrassment from the get-go to the end of the game in regards to pass protection, and just the number of sacks just killed us.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that later. I mean, it was they were able to I guess block it a little better later, and the offensive line definitely deteriorated throughout the game. I mean, I was going to mention that later, but yeah, I know what you're talking about right there. And
I mean, we can bring it up throughout because, I mean, I hate to skip to the end, but they end up getting 10 sacks. I mean, what NFL team gets 10 sacks in a football game and just beats up our quarterback? And this happened like a year or two ago too, like 10, 12 sacks in a game. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the Vikings don't have that good of rushers, but like you say, keep working your way through the game. I'm not sure exactly where you're at because I have here on my notes that we had a huge run from Dalvin Cook. So that must either be coming or, oh, yep, I see you got that coming up on our show sheet here. So go ahead.
Yeah, that was I got that coming up here in a little bit. This is that drive where Lions actually put a nice drive together. I thought it was one of those. I had spoke before on previous podcasts going over games that it was one of those nice mix of pass and runs. Where they weren't long passes. I believe there was a pass interference penalty by Minnesota during this drive as well. They kept a drive going, gave the Lions better field position, but it was one of those. They had a nice drive where they got it down to 1st and goal, and this is where I really kind of started to notice it. Yeah, I noticed it before where the offensive line started to get owned. They had 1st and goal down to the 4. Then they had a false start penalty, and it took them back to the 9. So it's 1st and goal from the 9. Once again, it's not terrible, but 1st and goal from the 4 is better than 1st and goal from the 9. And then they just run 3 really bad plays. I mean, one, they try to run Theo Riddick, and he gets dumped, and then they try to pass play. where Stafford got pressured pretty much right from, he was back there for 2 seconds. They ended up having to throw it away out of the back of the end zone. And then on the last play, they tried to run one more pass play. And like you said, it was one of those jailbreaks where right from the snap, it seemed like Stafford was under pressure. And they ended up having to settle for the field goal and go 7-3. So, like you said, it was the offensive line wasn't looking great early, but they were able on that drive to be able to get some time, move the ball down the field until it got, really close. And then Minnesota's defense was like, okay, we're going to step up. And they did. They were able to get more pressure on the Lions at that point where Stafford either had to get rid of the ball or the running lane wasn't open. And that's where I thought the line broke down more than earlier, than like you said, than what brought it up right there. I thought those were just 3 terrible play calls down there in the red zone. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's just a point in the game, like you said. We get down tight, we shoot ourselves in the foot, we can't block anybody. Jim Bob can't draw up anything creative, can't, do anything unique, just bad play calls, bad execution, bad everything. It can't happen. We used to be good in the red zone. It just doesn't seem like we were that efficient, in 2018 there. So not good.
I mean, still though, the Lions aren't playing that great. Minnesota had their first opening drive, but still it's early in the second quarter and we're down 7-3. The defense seems to be playing pretty good. At this point, it seems like they got their feet underneath them. And Minnesota got the ball back, and at one point, Kirk Cousins pulls a Kirk Cousins and just heaves up a Hail Mary. Not a Hail Mary, but just throws the ball up a jump ball, and Slay brings it down. Slay, big play, my boy, makes the play, gets the interception, roughly about 10 and a half minutes left in the second quarter. This is where I'm starting to think it's like, cool, great, man. This is where we show up again. They withstood the first quarter. Minnesota's not playing that great on offense either. The defense is showing up. And they start to put a drive together. 4th and 1, the Lions decide to go for it. Stafford scrambles, show some of his scrambling ability, picks up that 4th and 1. I kind of thought it was a gutsy call there. Did you think that was a gutsy call going for 4th and 1? It seems like before the Lions would be happy to kind of settle the punt it away, but they went for it. Did you like that call?
Oh, well, real quick, Griff, before we get to that, I know I keep, during our Koolaid Rewind, I keep rewinding you, but you tried to sneak 3 "we're not that greats" right by the people. Are you just going to blow by a great tagline that everybody likes and not give it to them?
They're not that great. Everybody knows I think Kirk Cousins ain't that great, and he gets a lot of love around here because he went to Michigan State. I never thought he was that great a quarterback.
Okay, well, you gave him 2. I need another Griff could not great before I answer your question. All right, so with that being said, this was a nice sign of, hey, getting a little more aggressive. I think it wasn't on the play, it sort of broke down and Stafford was able to kind of clumsily make his way up or I don't know. I never know when he's running. Is he athletic and is it a good play or did he kind of stumble his way to the first down? Whatever it was, I was just glad he moved the chains, and anytime they can go for it and get it, I'm excited.
But, you're right. It was a scramble because, once again, the offensive line broke down on 4th and 1. I don't think that was a designed quarterback run, but it was one of those things where I think Stafford was running for his life in fear, and there was just nobody around there because everybody was already in the backfield, so he was able to break out of there and, run for the first down. But it did keep the drive going. And once again, the Lions were methodically moving down. Stafford made a great pass to Kenny Golladay to get it down to 1st and goal. And once again, that was, for as much as we kind of, last year we looked at Stafford, didn't like the way he played some games. He was able to make some nice passes in some areas, and that was one of those passes. He passed to Kenny Boy, and Kenny made a nice play. Got down to 1st and goal. Once again, they have really good field position. And Lions kind of do what they did before. Minnesota decided to bow their back. It seemed like, right at the snap, they were in the backfield on every play. Kind of made you question some of the play calls as well. And Lions end up, settling for a field goal, with almost 4.5, a little more than 4.5 left in the second quarter. I mean, so they're not, Lions, once again, they're not playing that great, but, they're only down 7-6. But once again, that's a frustrating drive right there where they get it into the red zone, deep into the red zone, and they have to settle for another field goal because the offensive line, like you said, was just kind of a shambles, and they didn't look good, and Minnesota pretty much had their way with them again. It just frustrated me to watch that. Again, that could have been 14 points up on the board, but the offensive line. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I already gave my take on how terrible the offensive line was. I mean, with the amount of resources and money we put into that unit, they cannot give up these kind of pressures, sacks. But our quarterback has to be better in regards to having more fluidity in the pocket, like knowing when to get out quicker. I feel like a lot of times by the time he sort of slides up in the middle, it's already crumbling and he's just dead to rights. And like I say this on multiple shows where I try to support Matt Stafford. I'm a Matt Stafford fan. I probably got way too many Matt Stafford jerseys in my closet, but the guy, I'm looking at his numbers, and I know we're working our way through the game, but I think this is important to call out right now. You're saying like, oh, he made some good plays. He made a good throw to Kenny Galladay. Grifka, in this game, our franchise $27 million quarterback was sacked 10 times and threw for 199 yards and no touchdowns. Like, that's not going to win you any football games ever. So I'm not always ready to put it all on the offensive line or always skilled players didn't do enough or this, that. Yeah, we didn't have a run game here. Carry on, again, as much as we've shown him love. Did not get going, but again, when Matt Stafford puts up under 200 yards in 2018 NFL where everyone's throwing it around, that's inexcusable. So that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but I mean, Stafford never had time to throw this game. I mean, so there was a party in the backfield on every snap, and the defensive line was invited. I mean, it's just the offensive line, like you said, your take. I totally agree with you. I mean, it's just for as many resources the Lions have attempted to put into that, Minnesota just made them look foolish that game. So, we'll digress. We'll continue. I mean, so at this point, we're about a little over 4.5 minutes left in the second quarter, thinking, maybe if the Lions get a stop and get the ball back, drive down, get some points, maybe take the lead at halftime and then get the ball in the start of the second. But, from that point, Dalvin Cook, like you had just mentioned, he just gassed him for a 70-yard run. He showed his speed, got to the edge, and, Glover Quinn was lucky to, get to him and, bring him down in the red zone there. But, Cook just showed why, he was highly thought of when he was drafted. Yeah, he was injured last year, but it didn't seem like there was any ill effects from that injury in this game. Just showing his speed, getting through the line. And then, once again, Minnesota's deep in there. Down near the goal line, Minnesota ran like a stacked wide receiver set, and the defensive backs looked totally confused. And Adam Thielen, your favorite wide receiver from Minnesota, just is standing there wide open. Nevin Lawson is just kind of looking around for him, and Cousins hits Thielen for the touchdown to go up 14-6 with a little over 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Stuff like that just frustrates me because I don't know. I mean, was it like a totally new set by Minnesota? I mean, Detroit's defense looks like they're like standing just kind of like pointing at each other, like, that was your man, that was your man. It's just, I mean, you think there was some sort of new play, or you think this is just kind of like, I don't know, Lions defensive backs kind of doing what they did at points in the year where they just didn't know what was going on?
Well, I mean, on the Dalvin Cook big run, I think he's just a really good football player, and he's getting back to health at this point, and he can crack one off at any point. Now, the Thielen touchdown, like you said, I just have here in my notes, Nevin Lawson, again, like you said, yeah, they didn't look organized, but it wasn't a very tough route, and he got burnt right off the line of scrimmage. They just took it easy, out, then back inside, totally roasted him. Easy football to catch for a touchdown. So Adam Thielen gets no credit, and I'm not a big fan, as you noted, but it's a simple throw and catch for those two. And I just have here, too, Nevin Lawson cannot start in 2019. I don't care if he's a depth player or if he plays some nickel or whatever, but he can't be on the field as much as he was this year. Every game we're rewinding when they're losing. It's him getting toasted. It's T's getting toasted. I mean, these guys can stay on the team as depth, but they cannot start. They can't be, D'ing up the best receiver. Why is Nevin Lawson on Thielen? He had coming into this game with, going for the record, has all these numbers, and he's getting matched up on Nevin Lawson. Like, yeah, I'll take that all day, every day if I was in Minnesota Vikings. Like, get this guy out of here. He tries hard. Good job.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
First, I want to backtrack for a second. I don't know what product you need to make or what you need to market, but you need to market something called Tease Toast. Because you really do. I don't know if it has to be a cracker or a cookie or some type of bread, but Tease Toast sounds awesome. It really does. It sounds like something I would order with a cup of hot chocolate. Give me some of that Tease Toast, and can you make me a grand mocha latte? I'd appreciate that. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's not a bad marketing idea, but I would love it if it was sold out in 2019 because I'm tired of saying it and promoting it every week, talking about Tease Toast.
Tease Toast. That'd be great. Big smiling picture of him on the box. Tease Toast.
Oh, man. I hope this guy can play better, but, man, him and Nevin Lawson driving me nuts.
So, once again, there's we're back to the point where there's a little over 3 minutes left in the quarter. Lions get the ball back. Once again, it's like, okay, down 14-6, drive down, maybe get some points. But no, they have a very short drive. Vikings get the ball back. They move right downfield and then right before half. Lions actually make a play where they get a sack, and they were able to hold them to a field goal. And in the half where they go up, 17-6 going into the half. At this point, I'm pretty frustrated with the Lions offense. They're not looking good. Once again, we can say it's out of sync. And a lot of people are, I'm watching the game. They're like, well, maybe they're really missing Golden Tate. Golden Tate was Stanford's favorite wide receiver. Doesn't look like they've recovered. And I can understand that. But, you always say they're pros. They should be able to overcome this. The next man step up. We know that kind of sounds like the college thing right there. Next man up. But it works the same way in the pros. You're getting paid. You're on the team. You're at practices. That's your job. And the offense just looked totally lost without Golden Tate out there. Did not look good at all. And just a really frustrating game to watch. After watching the Seattle game the week before, offense just looked sluggish once again. And it just made you wonder, does the team have enough fight to come back in the second half? You have a total take on that first half before we move on to the second half?
Yeah, I'll just be real quick with it. I mean, I'm tired of the excuses, Oh, Golden Tate was gone. Oh, the quarterback didn't have any time. Oh, our run game wasn't clicking. It's the Minnesota Vikings. They came into the season with a bunch of pub. They weren't playing that great of football, and we just didn't show up and then want to say all of the reasons why later. Go in and figure out a way and play better football. So I thought the first half was just lackluster, but I don't want to hear all these reasons why. I want them to get them figured out and find a way to win this game like a lot of teams do. And, here in the first half they didn't, and we'll see what happens as we retell the second half. But let's not skip over the big sack by Ziggy to end the first half, Griff. But when they drove down, looked like they were going to get points. 94, Ziggy Ansah, your boy, comes off the edge, terrorizes the quarterback, gets him on the ground. They have to settle for a field goal.
Yeah, I believe in the game credits it said cameo by Ziggy Ansah. So, there you go. You got your favorite player. You got his one play.
There you go.
Ding. Okay, let's move on to the second half here. Once again, kind of like the week before, the third quarter wasn't a whole lot happening. I mean, like you said, double zeros on both sides. The biggest thing was they went for it on that they had that fake punt where everybody kind of stunned once again. It's like, whoa, what's going on here, man? And they're actually getting a little less conservative, but fake punt. It's like, wow, it's going to keep the drive going. And right after that fake punt, it pretty much stalled out. Went to nothing. Once again, they went for around 4th and 1 before. They went for got the fake punt right there. Thought it was maybe turning over a new leaf, less conservative, but the offense stalled right out. When nothing really happened for either team. Minnesota Vikings once again always thought they weren't that great, and they kind of proved it. Unable to put the Lions away at that point, but we move on to the fourth quarter, and once again, Minnesota.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
This was before the punt, I think, if I have it right on my list. Matt Stafford running for his life again, scrambling, not looking very athletic. all of a sudden, the stud we know as number 19, Kenny Galladay, breaks off his route, runs down the left sideline. He's wide open, and Matt Stafford does one of those just like where he throws it either too far, inaccurate, whatever his issue was, misses an easy touchdown, and throws it, where the guy couldn't even make a play on it. I mean, to me, it was just didn't look like that hard of a throw. Could have been a huge play in the football game. I think it was the next play after that where they ran the fake punt and then were able to move the chains. So I was shocked by the fake punt too, not only at the time it happened, but that they actually did it. That wasn't, week 17 against a who cares Packers team. It's the only time they pull out anything unique or, extravagant like that. But Matt Stafford, man, put the ball on Kenny Galladay and let him run here. It's so annoying.
Yeah, that's it seems like the Lions kind of did that on this point, no matter what, whenever they went deep, it's like it seemed like Stafford overshot the guy and the play wasn't even close, and made you wonder. It's just like, gosh, are they ever going to connect on one of those long plays? Then after that, we get to the point where in the fourth quarter, Dalvin Cook, for his great run before he fumbles the ball, A'Shawn makes a great recovery, and once again, 17-6. There's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. There's more than enough time to come back in this game, and maybe with a turnover they'd have some life. But then shortly after that, a few minutes after that, that's the infamous play that we already talked about, where Stafford was once again running for his life and he decided to play hot potato and throw the ball to Kerryon. Throw it as hard as he could, and he's 2 yards away from him. And that fumble is ran back by Minnesota for a touchdown. Once again, at this point of the game, my hands are, on top of my head going, what the heck's going on here? Where are you at this point?
Well, I'll start with the fumble by Cook. I mean, I thought it was a little pitch play that they ran. They tried to get cute with it. He puts it on the ground. I loved A'Shawn getting right on the football. Like you say, sometimes we've been a step slow. This one, he was right on top of it. But this Matt Stafford to Kerryon Johnson, like, it just made no sense. Like, I'm going back and watching it. Like, he could have easily ran out of bounds. He could have ran up for another 5 yards and got slid. He could have done anything other than what he did. And even if he flips it and Kerryon catches it, he's going to actually lose more yards. You know what I mean? He's going to catch it and then probably get tackled 2 yards behind where Matt Stafford is. So it just made no sense. I mean, it's on Kerryon. He should have caught the football, but then for the Vikings not only to get it but to score on the plays, it's just demoralizing. That's a game ender. That's a Matt Stafford. What the hell are you doing? That's a we got to protect the football. Like, just an embarrassing play by our Lions.
Yeah, it just showed like where the offense was at pretty much all day. Like you said, the continuing being out of sync. Stafford running for his life. And like I said before, it's just I thought, he just didn't want to get hit again. He was just looking to give the ball to anybody else because he didn't want to get hit again. And then, but I know when we first covered this game a while ago, we really belabored that play. So we'll just move on. Lions get the ball back. I mean, there's like 7 minutes left in the game. They're down 3 scores. It's like at this point, it just seems like the game's out of reach. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. Lions drive down. They kick a field goal to bring it, to 24-9. And I believe at this point, let's see, I jotted down. Yeah, 24-9 with a little over a minute left in the game. I mean, thanks for the token field goal right there. So, I mean, what good's that do? I mean, I realize it brings it within, 15, but still, I mean, they try the onside kick and, everybody knows the stat last year. I mean, how many onside kicks actually were successful? Minnesota recovers it and just pretty much runs out the clock. So Lions take another tough one on the chin up in Minnesota. Stafford's running for his life all game. I guess one of the shining moments was, like you said, that Adam Thielen did not, break the record of Megatron. So that I guess that's always a positive. But there was just a tough one to watch again, and just knowing 10 sacks. I mean, I want to go into a little deeper into this right here. I know you talked about it, but
Hold on.
What's that?
Hold on. Let me finish up this game on my end.
Okay.
So I have no notes after the stupid flip play, but I got a couple things I want to bring up.
Okay.
First of all, who's this Megatron you speak of?
Oh, man. Yeah, don't act like you don't know who Calvin Johnson is.
Is that the guy that quit on our team? Is that who
Like
he
I
was? But I
said,
was happy because
the only
he was
reason you hate on
overpaid
him
and
is because
beaten down.
the only reason you hate on him is because he wouldn't sign your football.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. So that guy doesn't exist to me anymore. He quit on our team. He was broken down, overpaid. I was actually glad when he decided to hang it up. Hey, thanks for a couple good years early on in your career, and then a lot of no big wins after that. So I think that's who you're talking about anyway. Secondly, I want to bring up one point about I've been bagging on Matt Stafford in this game. I want the people to go watch Matt Stafford in this game. Just watch a few plays where he gets sacked, and then go watch like a quick couple highlights of current Tom Brady, and just watch the difference in the dropbacks, or go watch Deshaun Watson, or go watch any of the other top quarterbacks, and tell me there's not a huge difference between the way those guys take a 5-7 step drop. They're bouncing around, they're looking left, right, moving up, moving around. Like it's A versus Z in regards to pocket movement, feeling the rush, actually a sense of balance in their game. And it bugged me all game watching him. And then I went and watched a couple of those. Just it doesn't even look the same. Like his movement is terrible, and it's got to be way better next year. And this was one of those games. He's getting beat up all over the field. He's got all these excuses, and I don't have Golden Tate. Poor me. Like, this guy needs to get it going next year and get people fired up. Remember when he used to talk smack to the other team? He used to dive head first for first downs. I thought this was one of these games where you're getting paid $27 million. You cashed your check. You can blame it on the offensive line and just get out of there and go on to the next game instead of leading our team to a victory on the road. Again, another game I'm real harsh on Matt Stafford, but got to be a lot better in the pocket and needs to step his game way up, even from just an emotional standpoint, because I thought that really cost us. There was no gathering his offensive line around and saying, let's get it together. Like, I'm getting killed back there. It was just a bunch of nothing in this football game. So I had a little bit of a rant there, but the game was over after he pitched it into the ground to carry on, and they ran it back. But those are a couple beefs I had before we get to your quick questions. So go ahead, sir.
Okay. So I just want to point this out once again. I mean, you said Megatron, so you didn't think that Adam Thielen, not breaking Megatron's record, you don't think that was a big deal at all?
No.
You really didn't care?
No, I don't care at all about that kind of garbage. And first of all, like, I know I bag on Calvin Johnson now and people think it's sour grapes. Like, all I'm trying to say is he was an absolute freak when we came into the league. We didn't use him right. Then he got good towards the prime of his career, and we used him a little bit better. And then he got all broken down, and we wasted $20-some million on a receiver for probably his last 2 to 3 years. And it was just stats and nothing else. Like, he never did anything to help this organization move forward or to take him to the next level. So that's why I hate on him, is just another Lions player that put up some numbers, looked good in the uniform, and never won anything, and then quit on us. Like, I'm sick of that. I want football players.
Okay.
I want gritty football players, and we don't have enough of those in Detroit.
And just one other thing, like I said, I wanted to bring up, and you mentioned it, early on about giving up like the 10 sacks. And, I'm like, I just, thought it was like, what's the deal with this? And, you've heard me talk about this, no matter what. It seems like sometimes there's just bad matchups for some teams, no matter what year it is. It just seems like this team matches up against this team better than other ones. This doesn't always seem like year after year after year. It seems like Minnesota, their defensive line gives the Lions' offensive line just fits. I mean, we've seen this like, the Bears have a good defense, but I mean, they didn't have 10 sacks. I mean, against the Lions, and Green Bay, they've had years where they've had good defensive linemen, and they just Clay Matthews, and they don't. It seems like every year there's somebody on Minnesota, like back to Jared Allen was always in the backfield, Brian Robinson always in the back, Everson Griffin. It seems like every year it seems like Minnesota's defensive line just gives Detroit fits. How can that be? I mean, don't they? I mean, they. Why is that? Why is Minnesota's defense, no matter who's on it, it just seems like they're just always. They have like every week, man. It seems like every time they play them, just parting lines backfield.
You got me all fired up, Grifka. I just went on a couple rants. This might be another one. I am so sick of all these. Sounds like excuses and whining. Like, oh, it's a poor matchup. Oh, we can't block the Minnesota Vikings. Why? Like, to me, it's just either bad coaching or I try to defend this offensive line and say I like the players on the offensive line. People feel like they're overpaid. I feel like if they play good football, they're fine players. But like, they're just not getting it done. Like, you go back and watch this game, Taylor Decker's getting muscled around. I saw one play where Frank Ragnow got absolutely blown up, and then our quarterback gets killed, and he's just over there trying to help Stafford off the mat. Like, it's not Minnesota. It's not these guys that Minnesota has. It's just our team didn't play well enough this Sunday, and it's inexcusable, bottom line. I mean, I could go on for another 10 minutes, but these guys – they got to be grittier. They got to be grimier. And it's not oh, poor us or what happened against this team. Just show up and be better. And that means, either more effort or better schemes. Or I think that we're starting to get rid of some of these coaches that we've had that just don't make players better, because you see players go other places now and play decent. I think we had some bad coaches there for a while, position coaches, and even the guy at the head. And I think we're starting to weed those guys out and get some grimy, actual nasty football coaches, and that's what we need.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, because I hate that too. Like, oh, it's just a bad matchup. It's just a bad matchup. You're right. I mean, you get your belt. I mean, everybody knew Jared Allen was good, but he just always seemed like it's like, okay, Jeff Backus, you got him one-on-one, right? No, Jeff Backus wasn't good enough to have him one-on-one. He needs some help. It's
right.
Just always seemed like Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson was the same way. He was quick, fast off the edge. But no, we're just going to let this guy, just eat us alive. You got him, right? No, do something. Scheme it different. I mean, I know the guy, whoever on the Lions is proud saying, yeah, I got it. I can handle him. I got it. But they just never seem to do. It's like the coach is like, okay, you got it. It's cool. We got it. But, instead it's like, they don't, like you said, they don't look him in the face like, no, you don't have it. We got to do this to help you out because you are not holding your spot. You are the weak link. It just seems like they would be like, yeah, okay, you're right. You got it, man. Just keep trying hard. As opposed to like, no, you suck today. We got to keep the tight end in. We have to keep a running back in to help you out because you're getting beat. But it just seems like they don't do that. And for some odd reason, it just seems like it's always the Vikings. It's just like, and I don't hate the Vikings, even like the Packers, but gosh, it's like, how come like these guys just go around and just have huge games against the line? 10 sacks. I mean, that's like college game where like you have like a stud top, like one of the Power 5 schools playing against like a D2 school or something like that. 10 sacks. I mean, really, right. 10 sacks? That's just annoying. Yeah. That's like the offensive line. Oh, then you get like the tags afterwards, like you said. Well, we just got to play better. Oh, really? You didn't think that after 4 sacks, 5 sacks? It took 10 for somebody to actually think that? I mean, you're right. I mean, yeah. That's a crappy excuse. I hate saying we got to play better. Then go do it. Just stop using it. Then it's just rhetoric, and you're just telling that to try to appease. Get a soundbite. Then go do it. So,
yeah. Yeah, man, I'm there with you. Just got to be better, and like it's tough to run through these rewinds and remind these losses. We had to watch 2 here this week, but hey, man, you're going to lose games in the NFL. But like you said, 10 sacks or getting beat up by your division team at their place is just not a good look for the team. So brutal game, not good on really any level, to be honest, and one of their worst losses of the year, no question.
Yeah. But so now that I'm trying to get my blood pressure down, I gotta obviously lay off the coffee. But you got anything else? Are we well finished with this one, or you want to cover anything else before we get out of here?
I think we're good. It's been tough to kind of rewind these losses, but like you say, we've got to grind the tape out and rewatch these before we get into some more fun topics of rebuilding this team and getting it together for 2019. So I think I'm good. The question that the Koolaid drinkers want to know is, Grifka, do you have anything else for the people?
Nope.
All right. Well, I just want to say on a personal note for me, and I know Grifka would say this as well, is just we want to thank everybody out there that's been listening. It's been really cool to see all the droves of people we've been able to connect with throughout this process, but definitely in the last couple months that are checking out the Kool-Aid Cast, sharing with a friend, hitting me up on Twitter, having some fun football chats there, and it's just been great. So we just want to thank you a ton, and we're finishing up this week, but again, keep your eyes peeled. You may have some bonus shows coming to you from either me or from Grifka. I absolutely love getting on here and talking football. There's so much to talk about as we head into this off season. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And if not, we'll be back next week right here on the Detroit Kool-Aid Cast. Take care, everybody.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.